Hi, I am Michael Santos, the founder of Prison Professors, and we're continuing to work through our course on the digital economy. This is a strategy that we have been using with hopes of helping more people in prison prepare themselves for success upon release. We are advocates, and we are always striving to implement changes to the system that will incentivize excellence, incentivize people who are working to earn freedom. In fact, that's one of the first projects that I did, or the last projects I did before I got out of prison, is I wrote this book called Earning Freedom, Conquering a 45-Year Prison Term. And in that book, I really tell the entire story of how I used my time inside to prepare for success once I got home. And since then, we've worked to try and influence policies and changes that we hope will persuade administrators and stakeholders why we need to change the system in a manner that will incentivize excellence and help people who are memorializing and documenting their journey, helping those people see what steps they can take today to work their way to a better life. And one of the things that we think they should be doing is learning about the digital economy. The world's changing, and people in prison are kind of separated from that changing world. And in order to prepare themselves in ways that will allow them to find better jobs and better income opportunities, or create their own income opportunities, they really have to learn about the digital economy. So now I am going to read lesson number 5 from our course. And at the end, I'll provide some commentary and give some updates on my own personal investments. Actually, before I start reading, I want to thank our sponsors, including whitecollaradvice.com and also the law firm rightingwrongslaw.com. These are organizations that support our work and allow us to distribute these courses for free to people in jails and prisons across America. I also, of course, want to thank Adovo, our collaborative partner. Okay, I'm going to start reading right now. Now that we have gone through the introductory lessons, we should offer a more thorough history of Bitcoin. So on October the 31st, 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto authored Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. He published his white paper on a platform known as the cryptography mailing list. Once the innovators got on board, other early adopters began spreading the concept of a peer-to-peer cash system. The cryptocurrency became popular for a number of reasons, including 1, the world was in a deep recession or financial crisis in 2008. And with Bitcoin, Satoshi proposed a decentralized system that did not rely upon government authorities to oversee transactions. Many people did not trust the government or large financial institutions. Bitcoin provided an alternative asset class that seemed more reliable. Blockchain technology and the proof-of-work concept ensured unique, secure, and irreversible transactions. The blockchain ledger was public. Once a transaction got recorded on the blockchain, no one person could alter or delete the transaction. Any change to the blockchain required consensus, which provided a high level of security for each transaction. Bitcoin could reduce the transaction fees that financial institutions charged. And the system would only have 21 million Bitcoins, and those coins got released gradually over time through mining and earned in fees paid by users sending around their Bitcoins. Now, a miner was a person or a group using specialized hardware and software to validate transactions on the blockchain. By resolving complex mathematical equations, the miners provided proof of work, which validated a transaction. In exchange for their work, the miners got rewarded with an allocation of new Bitcoin. Since the Bitcoin blockchain was decentralized, anyone with knowledge and the appropriate computer equipment could mine Bitcoin. Approximately every 4 years, after every 210,000 blocks, a halving event took place. The halving resulted in fewer coins being available for miners who verified block transactions. The halving was a part of Bitcoin's design to control inflation and create scarcity. Historically, it has led to an increase in value for the Bitcoin asset class. During the first 4 years, 2009 until 2012, miners could earn 50 Bitcoins per block. On November the 28th, 2012, the first halving took place, and miners got 25 Bitcoin for verifying transactions. On July the 9th, 2016, another halving took place, reducing the reward to 12.5 Bitcoins per block. On May 11th, 2020, another halving took place, reducing the reward to 6.25 Bitcoins for verifying transactions. After the next halving, anticipated to take place in mid-April 2024, miners will only receive 3.125 Bitcoins per block that they verify. The halvings would continue to reduce the number of Bitcoins that miners received in exchange for their work. These halvings would take place approximately every 4 years until approximately the year 2140, when all 21 million Bitcoins should be mined and in circulation, except for those Bitcoins that were lost. Now, historically, with a combination of halving and the finite supply of Bitcoin, the scarcity drove the value of Bitcoin higher. The limit of 21 million Bitcoins was hard-coded into the Bitcoin protocol, and this fixed supply cap was one of the fundamental principles upon which Satoshi built Bitcoin. Several mechanisms and aspects of the Bitcoin network, or blockchain, worked together to prevent more Bitcoins from being mined or added beyond the limit. Think of Bitcoin as being part of a blockchain on a decentralized network, requiring consensus from a majority of people on the blockchain. The consensus mechanism provided a strong economic incentive to limit the supply to 21 million Bitcoin. It differed from a centralized network where a government or a powerful force could manipulate supply, causing inflation or deflation. So in January 2009, Satoshi mined the first block of Bitcoin. Bitcoin enthusiasts refer to that first mining by Satoshi as block 0. In the early days, a small community of cryptography enthusiasts, programmers, and early adopters began mining for crypto. Early transactions started really like in 2010. The early miners had begun to accumulate Bitcoins, and the first commercial transaction occurred when a programmer, Laszlo Hanieks, offered 10,000 Bitcoins to anyone who would deliver 2 pizzas. Entrepreneurs then began building exchanges. One exchange, bitcoinmarket.com, began operations in March 2010. Other exchanges then opened, providing opportunities for traders to buy and sell Bitcoin. Although the Bitcoin blockchain was secure because of consensus, the exchanges could be vulnerable to hacking because of their own inadequate security controls. The exchanges could get hacked, but Bitcoin itself would not get hacked. The only way to permanently secure Bitcoin would be through cold storage, which I'll describe in the next lesson. Price volatility and increased interest really began in 2013, around the same year, ironically, that I finished my obligation to the Bureau of Prisons. As more people became aware of Bitcoin, demand for owning the cryptocurrency increased. Prices began to rise for a combination of reasons, including fear of missing out, also known by the acronym FOMO, scarcity, because of the halving, which limited the supply, and more media attention. All of those factors worked together to bring more awareness to Bitcoin and influence pricing. Now, the infrastructure for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency really began to expand in 2017 because people became more aware of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Entrepreneurs then started building a more robust infrastructure. People created efficient exchanges and pathways to invest in cryptocurrency. The Bitcoin price skyrocketed, reaching a high of $68,000. I think it was $68,980 per coin, and that happened, I think, in 2020 or 2021. But high-profile investors and businesses also became very much involved in spreading the news by them becoming enthusiastic about the new cryptocurrency. Institutional investors became interested, and then regulatory agencies began assessing cryptocurrency as a viable investment-grade product. Others began to consider Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation and termed it digital gold because of its scarcity, with only a maximum of 21 million Bitcoins ever being possible. Now, in the next lesson, I'll offer a glossary of terms, which may improve knowledge for course participants. But let me now turn back, as we've been doing, to this backstory on my own investments, because I want you to see how I'm using my growing knowledge of cryptocurrency to make it part of my long-term investment strategy. After making my first 2 purchases, I continued to dollar cost average my way into the next purchase. I set a goal of putting a percentage of my total net worth into Bitcoin, but I always intended to make the buys gradually. On February the 2nd, at 11:54 in the morning, I saw that the price of Bitcoin had dropped again to $43,473.42. And that drop prompted me to jump back into the market and purchase a second Bitcoin. I purchased 1 Bitcoin for a total of $44,441.57, and that was inclusive of the Coinbase fee that was $978.15, or 2.25% of the Bitcoin's price, significantly higher than I should have paid had I been using a more advanced platform. Now, the total investment in Bitcoin at the end of the day on February the 2nd, 2024, was $89,160.02, and I then held 2 Bitcoins, and my total value was $86,946.84. So my gain or loss on that particular day was a loss of $2,213.18. Now, despite the dropping price, in time, I believed that market factors, including scarcity and the increased demand from institutional investors, would lead to higher prices. I made a commitment to hold this asset as a store of value for at least 5 years. Now, I have always given this disclaimer that I am not a financial advisor. I'm a guy who did 26 years in prison, and nobody should take advice from somebody who served 26 years in prison. Not financial advice, anyway. But our nonprofit, Prison Professors, is really determined to helping more people learn, and I know that people in prison, they want to see what options do they have when they get out of prison after, in terms of having a criminal background. I've always learned that I've got to create my own income streams and my own opportunities, and that is the reason that I feel so passionately about sharing these kinds of lessons with people in prison. And so that's why I always conclude those lessons with 3 critical thinking questions. And this lesson, one of those questions is, in what ways would you say that concepts such as a decentralized network, distributed ledger, or blockchain compares to a centralized system like government-controlled fiat currency? Number 2, in what ways would buying crypto from exchanges like Coinbase differ from buying crypto from exchange-traded funds? And 3, given the new government approval of Bitcoin as an asset class, how do you anticipate corporate America or other municipalities will respond to the market over time? Now, of course, this is all part of our advocacy initiatives, and I am hopeful that you will spend some time thinking about your role in the advocacy that you want. Nobody should work as hard as you in building this pathway in building this pathway towards your liberty. So I want you to be thinking, what can you do today to position yourself for success in the days, weeks, months, years, and decades ahead? One of the things that I have done is not only launch prisonprofessors.com, which is part of our nonprofit where we give away information for free, but I've also launched through the nonprofit prisonprofessorstalent.com. And that is also part of the digital economy. It's giving you an opportunity to memorialize the different ways that you are preparing for success upon release. If more people do that, that becomes a digital asset, an asset that I can use to advocate and show, oh, look at Jim Stevens or Jose Rodriguez or Jamal, Johnson. Got people who are in prison but are using their time inside to prepare for success outside. And if you memorialize your journey in a manner that anybody that has access to the internet can see, it becomes easier to spread this message. And if we spread this message wisely, we begin to influence, become ambassadors of how the system sees this, this system of mass incarceration, and really start to hope spread this message on the value of incentivizing excellence. I wrote a book called Earning Freedom, Conquering a 45-Year Prison Term while I was incarcerated. I don't know if you've ever read this book, but if you haven't, contact our nonprofit and we'll send you one. Even if you don't have any money and you can't buy it on the website, we'll send it to you for free, because we definitely want you to begin working toward earning freedom. And I will work hard to advocate for changes like work release programs and more access to incentives that the First Step Act allows. But it all has to start with you and memorializing and documenting your journey. And if you want to do that on the Prison Professors Talent website, super simple to do. Just send us an email to interns@prisonprofessorstalent.com. And in the subject line, type in digital economy course. If you want to go through the regular mail, just send it to Prison Professors, care of the Digital Economy course at 32565 Golden Lantern, Suite B as in boy -1026 in Dana Point, California 92269. If you have access to the Adovo platform, I encourage you to use that and find a way just to get us a message or respond to your questions there, and we will take the next steps of building your profile. I'm a big believer in people in prison and believe that we all can achieve higher levels of success, but we got to use our time inside to prepare. I will never lie to you, and I will never ask you to do anything I didn't do. This was the strategy I used to get through 26 years in federal prison and come back with my dignity intact and with opportunities to prosper. That's what I want to see for you. So again, I want to thank whitecollaradvice.com for sponsoring our organization, and also the Righting Wrongs law firm. They have been very helpful to us, and we are grateful to all the sponsorship that allows us to provide this content free of charge to people in jails and prisons across America. I am Michael Santos, founder of Prison Professors. I also want to thank my collaborator, Ryan Salem, for assisting me in preparing these lessons, and I want to thank you. Be well.